At the time of its release, the Mavic 3 had very limited functionalities. But after a major firmware update, the pieces are coming together. In this video I will show you the astonishing video capabilities of this drone after 2 months of intense testing. Let's have a quick look at all the settings we need to know for shooting footage. Regarding color modes, at the moment the only ones available are Normal and DLOG. The third one, HLG, which is the one I prefer, should be added in a couple of months by firmware upgrade. Normal mode is the one to use for oven-ready footage to be posted on social media without any editing. DLOG is a flatter profile to be used for serious post-processing and increased dynamic range. In Mavic 2 this mode is flatter than in previous models, extremely flat, which is not a bad thing at all, but I find it a bit harder to monitor the scene in this mode, as the image on my tablet has extremely low contrast, and even finding the correct exposure is a bit more difficult, as the histogram is fooled by the lack of contrast, and there is a tendency to overexpose. The Mavic 2 Pro had an icon to reproduce an upgraded image on screen when in DLOG mode. I hope this function will be added soon. When in DLOG mode, the only difference in the settings is that the ISO range is limited to 400 and 800. A very important feature of the Mavic 3 is the dual lens systems. I have done a specific in-depth video about how to make the most of the telephoto lens and the zoom capabilities of this drone. Please refer to it if you're interested by clicking on the link on screen now. Normal mode has been developed by Hasselblad under the name of Natural Color Solution. It is the mode meant to be used straight off the camera. In the R2S I find that normal mode needs a bit of tweaking, as it lacks contrast and saturation. This is not the case with the Mavic 3. The footage just out of the box looks excellent, and this is great news for users who need to quickly upload their masterpieces to the web. Most potential buyers of the Mavic 3 will be more interested in the 10-bit modes, DLOG and the upcoming HLG. But normal can be further improved with a little color grading, and the files respond remarkably well. With other models of the Mavic line, I tend to use the 10-bit modes practically all the time. But in the Mavic 3 normal is so good that I use it constantly. With the exception of a specific situation that we will discover in a couple of minutes. It is possible to set the gimbal to FPV mode, and this function now really works well, with the excellent new gimbal. At first I did not take it very seriously, but I can see some interesting ways to use it. I never particularly liked the way DLOG is implemented in the R2S and in the Mavic 2 Pro, with footage lacking detail, especially in overcast conditions. With both models I much prefer HLG. In the Mavic 3, DLOG works much better. I've experimented with several different LUTs, and the detail and color rendition is always excellent. The files at 10-bit color at a bitrate of 200 Mbps are the most solid I've ever seen in any prosumer drone. I was able to tweak very heavily individual colors, or add a good deal of contrast without any artifacts or banding. I can't wait to see what the HLG mode will be like. In this case, I was fooled by the ungraded DLOG image on my tablet and I ended up overexposing with the sun on the border of the frame, but the result is still almost acceptable. Here it started to rain quite heavily, as you can see, but I could keep shooting footage without any drop of water sitting on the lens. This can be really useful. Good job, Hasselblad. Another major upgrade of the Mavic 3 is the increase of higher frame rates available at different resolution. Here you can see the same scene shot at a resolution of 4K, first at 24 frames per second, which is the frame rate of my timeline and therefore is in normal speed, and then shot at 60 frames per second and interpreted at 24. Therefore 2.5 times slow motion. And finally shot at 120 frames per second for 5 times extreme slow motion. If you want to know more about how to use different frame rates for slow motion effects, click on the link appearing now to watch my video. Normal mode in the Mavic 3 performs much better than any other 8-bit color mode and maintains plenty of info in the colors. Even with the full sun on the frame, there is no flare and the sky has an excellent structure. But to extract more info in the shadows and increase the dynamic range, DLOG is the one to use. When shooting against the sun, the results obtained with the Mavic 3 in DLOG are in a totally different league from any other drone of the Mavic line. Even with the full sun on the frame, the structure on the sky is astonishing, and we have a huge amount of info in the shadows without any noise. The Mavic 3 opens new territory for prosumer drone videography. We can finally get results close to a good full-frame camera. When I tested the R2S for footage in low light, I found it outstanding, in a totally different league compared to previous model of the Mavic line. Also in recent years, the noise reduction program called Neat Video has reached excellent performance. Only 3 years ago, noise in footage was a huge issue. But I find that using the R2S together with Neat Video, the issue of noise in low light footage had become irrelevant. You will find info about Neat Video in the description below. The Mavic 3 with its much larger Micro Four Thirds sensor is expected to perform even better in low light. As you can see, the two scenes are extremely dark. Let's see if the mighty Mavic 3 can bring them back to life without introducing too much noise. Let's go with normal mode first. At ISO 400 the clip is already very good. The files generated by the normal mode are very solid, and it is possible to recover plenty of info from the shadows without introducing noise. There is a little bit of noise in the sea and the sky, but this level is a piece of cake for Neat Video. This is the same clip after applying Neat Video, and as you can see, noise is a thing of the past. You can watch my analysis of Neat Video by clicking on the link on the screen now. You can find all the info about Neat Video, the Mavic 3 and the other gear I use in the description below. When purchasing an item through this link, I receive a small, tiny commission that really helps the channel. If you find the video interesting, a like is highly appreciated. It helps to spread the video. At ISO 800 there is a slight increase in noise, but again perfectly manageable. DLOG mode has only two values for ISO, 400 and 800. At 400 the clip is not bad, with just a bit more noise than in normal mode, but not an issue at all after denoising. At 800 there is an increase in noise, but the footage is still very usable if needed. Click on this link to watch my analysis of the excellent quality of photography with the Mavic 3. Don't forget to hit the like button if you find this video interesting.